I find the dance party ending trope to be one of the most interesting cliches when it comes to animated films. Obviously, a movie ending in a dance party is not purely a cliche from animation, but it seems like in the past 20 years, you see more and more animated films end this way. And it's getting to the point that it seems like a prerequisite if you want to make an animated kids movie. I mean, what better way to celebrate overcoming the conflict of the story than to launch into a big giant dance number with a fun poppy song? In my opinion, it's become one of the most ridiculous tropes in modern animation. So naturally in this video, I will be ranking animated films by their dance party endings. This will not be a comprehensive list, as I will only be ranking movies that were released in theaters and primarily focusing on movies that came out after Shrek. This is because although there were movies that featured this trope before Shrek was released, Shrek was the film that really solidified it as a cliche and brought it to the forefront of pop culture. Additionally, I decided not to include movies where the dance party is part of the climax of the film, since it doesn't necessarily fit into the trope. So unfortunately, movies like Turning Red, the Goofy movie, and the SpongeBob movie are not on the list. For my own sanity, and so the video isn't too long, I limited the list to 40 movies. So I'm sorry if I didn't include an animated film that might feature your favorite dance party ending. In this video, I will be giving every single movie 2 different scores. An overall score on how good I think the movie is, and then a special score on the dance meter, which analyzes how good of a dance party is in the movie. There are many different factors that go into this dance meter score. First, does it make sense in the context of the story and is it deserved? Next, how good is the animation and is it visually interesting? Lastly, the song choice and whether it fits the vibe or the themes of the movie. Both of these will be going off the Letterboxd scaling system of 5 out of 5 stars. By the way, go check out my Letterboxd, it will be in the description along with a list of all these movies ranked. We will start at the bottom of the list with the worst dance party and then work our way up to the movie with the best dance party. That being said, I may have a really good movie towards the bottom because it has a bad dance party, or I might have a really bad movie towards the top because it has a good dance party. But for the most part, the dance quality and the quality of the movie is usually around the same. Also, I'm very sorry if I trash a movie you like, it's nothing personal, just business. I grew up with a lot of the movies on the list, so I'm going to try hard to make sure I'm not blinded by nostalgia and try to judge everything somewhat fairly. Lastly, before we jump into the ranking, I want to say that this video was heavily inspired by the Karsten Rundquist video, Dance Party Ending, so definitely go check that video out, it's really good. Anyways, let's kick it off with the worst dance party. Shrek Forever After is the 4th installment into the Shrek franchise. It was made in 2010, and the logline is as follows. Rumpelstiltskin tricks a midlife crisis burdened Shrek into allowing himself to be erased from existence and cast in a dark alternate timeline where Rumpelstiltskin rules supreme. Shrek Forever After is just fine. It isn't nearly as clever as the first 2 films, and the villain isn't nearly as intriguing. I don't like how they had to basically undo Shrek's character arc from the previous films to manufacture some conflict. And the entire "it was all just a dream" ending makes the whole movie feel inconsequential. But I do respect how they took the story in a bold, different direction. Additionally, the film still has heart and a few good jokes, so it doesn't make for a bad watch per se. I strongly dislike the dance party in this movie. It's banking on the nostalgia from the first film by featuring I'm a Believer, but this time it's sung by Weezer. Also, it's not deserved and doesn't make sense. Shrek is the only one in this movie that went on this emotional journey, but everyone is dancing together like they also experienced it. Additionally, it features characters from the alternate dimension Shrek timeline dancing with characters in the classic Shrek timeline. These characters shouldn't know each other, and they shouldn't be dancing together. Stupid dance party, and it pissed me off. 3 stars and half a star on the dance meter. The Nut Job is the 2014 film about a self-serving exiled squirrel who finds himself helping his former park brethren survive by raiding a nut score, a location that also happens to be a front for a human gang's bank robbery. It's crazy to me that this movie made it to theaters. What's even crazier is that it made over $120 million. The Nut Job is really bad. It's like if someone took Over the Hedge and stripped away all the interesting characters, amazing soundtrack, and clever comedy. Tough watch, kids deserve better movies than this. The dance party in The Nut Job to Psy's Gangnam Style exemplifies everything I hate about the trope. It's inserting a huge pop song that has nothing to do with the movie that was already 2 years old, it happens during the credits, and it's just bad animation. Just a travesty to behold. 1 star and a 1 on the dance meter. The Emoji Movie is the 2017 movie about Gene, a multi-expressional emoji who sets out on a journey to become a normal emoji. When the Emoji Movie first came out in 2017, as a joke, my friends and I made homemade shirts and went to see it on opening day. At first, the bit was funny, and we got a good laugh out of it. But about 15 minutes into the movie, we realized we actually had to sit through this, and the joke got really old really fast. This movie sucks. The dance party in this movie is a great reflection of the movie itself. It is painfully corporate, has no soul, and like it was manufactured in a factory. The song choice is Feel This Moment by Pitbull, which is just a basic happy dance song. The animation is basic and there's nothing clever about it. 1 star and a 1.5 on the dance meter. Scoob is the 2020 movie that follows Scooby and the gang as they face their most challenging mystery ever, a plot to unleash the ghost dog Cerberus upon the world. As they race to stop this dogpocalypse, the gang discovers that Scooby has an epic destiny greater than anyone imagined. Dude, this is an absolutely soulless movie. From out-of-touch humor to unnecessary characters that felt like they were just there to sell toys, to annoying needle drops to stunt casting, to big mindless fight scenes that are so out of place in a Scooby-Doo movie, I found little to love with this heartless, factory-made movie cashing in on the Scooby-Doo brand. The dance party in this scene feels very forced, awkward, and undeserved. The song that is used is I Fly by Galantis, and it sounds just like a stereotypical dance party song. Very bad, just like the movie itself. 1.5 and a 1.5 on the dance meter. The Lorax is the 2012 film that follows a 12-year-old boy as he searches for the one thing that will enable him to win the affection of the girl of his dreams. To find it, he must discover the world of the Lorax, a grumpy yet charming creature who fights to protect his world. Damn, this film was nowhere near as good as I thought it was when I was a kid. There's not enough story here for a full movie, so every little bit is stretched to its absolute limit. The humor is really cringy, the character designs are ugly, and just like Horton Hears a Who, the main message isn't treated with the right amount of respect it deserves. Now, judging the final dance party in the Lorax is tricky, since there's kind of two. There's of course the final number, Let It Grow, but then there's also a dance party during the credits. I'm counting the second one since it's the very last one, and since the film is a musical, it would feel unfair to count a musical number within the dance party cliche. Unfortunately, this dance party sucks. The song is a remix of Let It Grow, and it's nowhere near the quality of the original. Just bland corporate pop with bland dancing. 2 stars and a 1.5 on the dance meter. Ice Age Continental Drift is the 2012 film that follows Manny, Diego, and Sid as they embark on another adventure after their continent is set adrift. Using an iceberg as a ship, they encounter sea creatures and battle pirates as they explore a new world. This movie's pretty bad. It's a very safe, boring corporate movie that takes all the easy outs when it comes to the plot and the jokes. It's like it was made in a factory to have the widest market appeal possible. And it worked since this movie made $877 million. Just a very dull sequel that provides entertainment for 80 minutes, but then you'll never think about it again. The dance party happens during the credits, which is a trend you'll see with a lot of movies on this list, and a trend that I don't care for. For many of these credit dance party endings, it feels tacked on and cheap, and this movie is no different. Although I will say it gets bonus points for using an original song, but it gets negative points for featuring Drake. 2 stars and a 1.5 on the dance meter. Minions is the 2015 movie about the Minions. The Minions are fine in small doses, but when you have to sit down and watch them for 90 minutes straight, it wears down your resolve and your soul. The plot in this movie is bonkers, the characters are non-existent, and the humor is painful. I can see this being enjoyable for children, but it was not a good watch. There's technically 2 different dance parties in this movie, one during the credits and one after. Both of them are not very good. They are the Beatles songs Got to Get You Into My Life and Revolution. I guess these choices make sense because the film is set in England, but I don't think they were the greatest choices for the film. The animation is decent, but like I've stated before, the credits dance party choice just feels like an afterthought and not deserved. 1.5 stars and a 2 on the dance meter. Shrek the Third is the 2007 film that follows Shrek as he hatches a plan to install the rebellious Artie as the new king, while Princess Fiona tries to fend off a coup by the jilted Prince Charming. Shrek the Third is often regarded as the worst in the Shrek franchise, and while I agree, I don't think it's necessarily a bad movie, just a passable one. It doesn't have the heart or emotion that is found in the other films, and aside from a few great scenes, it lacks a lot of wit and humor. This is the only Shrek movie where the dance party is pushed to the credits, which kind of sucks. But at least it's not insulting like Shrek Forever After. The song choice is Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again by Sly and the Family Stone, and it's a very lazy and uninspired pick. The animation is alright, but there aren't any good jokes. 3 stars and a 2 on the dance meter. The Wild is the 2006 film that tells the story of an adolescent lion who is accidentally shipped from the New York Zoo to Africa. Now running free, his zoo pals must put aside their differences to help bring him back. The Wild is bad. The biggest impact that it's made on pop culture is being a poor Madagascar ripoff, and honestly, that title is deserved because there's not much to enjoy here. The story sucks, the humor is lazy, the voice performances are phoned in, and above all, it's just straight up boring. The dance party in The Wild comes out of nowhere and is not really deserved. The song used is an original titled Really Nice Day by Eric Idle and John Duprez, which isn't the greatest. However, it does make a little bit of sense in the context of the story, since the wildebeest do a dance routine to the song earlier in the film. 1 star and a 2.5 on the dance meter. Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs is the 2009 film and 4th installment into the Ice Age franchise. The logline is as follows. When Sid's attempt to adopt 3 dinosaur eggs gets him abducted by their real mother to an underground lost world, his friends attempt to rescue him. The first Ice Age is pretty good, but every following sequel just blends together in my mind, and it's probably because the plots are always so weak. All of them boil down to the characters having to get from point A to point B, and after a while, it just gets very tiring to watch. Buck is a fun addition to the franchise, but as a whole, this movie isn't the best. The dance party in this movie is below average, as it's pushed to the credits and the animation isn't all that engaging. It's saved from being terrible by Clever Song Pick, which is a cover of the classic 1987 hit by Was Not Was, Walk the Dinosaur. Banger song. 2 stars and a 2.5 on the dance meter. Mulan is the 1998 film about a young maiden who takes the place of her father in the army and goes on to become one of China's greatest heroines in the process. I never watched Mulan growing up, so I don't have a personal or nostalgic attachment to it, so I probably have it rated lower than other folks might. But that's not to say it's a bad movie. It has strong characters, an engaging plot, solid comedy, and has some tight pacing. Just a good film across the board. The dance party in this movie is the earliest on the list, as it was before Toy Story perfected the trope and Shrek made it popular. So this is sort of a proto-dance party. It only lasts for about maybe 25 seconds, and it doesn't feature a pop song, so it's not too high on the dance meter. But I still wanted to include it, since it's influential on the legacy of the cliche. 3.5 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Madagascar is the 2005 movie about a group of animals who have spent all their life in a New York zoo who end up in the jungles of Madagascar and must adjust to living in the wild. I'm not the world's biggest Madagascar fan, but I still think the movie is decent. The humor is hit or miss and the plot is just okay, but it has some decent animation and charm. When it comes to these Madagascar movies, I always find what the penguins are up to more interesting than the actual main plot. This is yet another movie where the dance party is pushed to the credits. The song used is I Like to Move It, originally done by Reel to Reel, which is a good choice since it was used earlier in the film. 3 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Madagascar 3: Europe's Most Wanted is the 2012 film that follows the Madagascar animals as they join a struggling European circus to get back to New York, but they find themselves being pursued by a psychotic animal control officer. The third Madagascar movie is pretty good, but not quite as good as the second. I found King Julian's side plot to be annoying and the comedy didn't always land with me, but I did like the evil animal control lady who was hunting these characters down. Everything with her was top notch. I'm very split on the dance party in this movie because it treads the same ground as the first one does, but it also does it in a different way. The song choice is I Like to Move It Again, however, it's a remix/mashup with the Afro Circus bit that Marty does earlier in the film. I think the animation is better during the credits though, so I'm putting it slightly above the first. 3 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Madagascar Escape to Africa is the 2008 sequel that follows the Madagascar animals as they attempt to fly back to New York City, but crash land on an African nature reserve in Kenya, where they meet others of their own kind, and Alex discovers his royal heritage as a prince of a lion pride. Madagascar Escape to Africa is far superior to the first Madagascar. Alex's story in this movie is far more engaging, and I like what they did with his character. On top of that, I find the humor to be way more consistent. This is truly a Shakespearean epic. This is once again the same song choice during the credits. However, this time it's a remix done by will.i.am. I think this dance party is the best because they went with a different animation style, which looks really cool, and it gave it a different vibe. 3 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Zootopia is the 2016 movie that follows a rookie bunny cop and a cynical con artist fox who must work together to uncover a conspiracy. Zootopia is a good time. It has strong characters, an engaging plot, and enough comedy for the kids and adults to have fun with. I'm not wild about the film like other people are, but I appreciate it and respect it. Although I like the film, I am not a fan of the dance party. It's perfectly fine and mostly well done, but it just feels unnecessary. It uses an original Shakira song called Try Everything, and I don't really like the song, but it went on to be a decent hit, so they must have done something right. 3.5 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Ice Age Collision Course is the 2016 film and the last Ice Age movie. Hopefully. The logline is as follows. When Scrat's Acorn sends an asteroid to Earth, the herd must find a way to stop the asteroid from hitting Earth with the help of a returning friend. When you put out a movie this bad, you know it's time to wrap up the franchise. This sucks. The plot is non-existent, the humor is lazy, and there's way too many characters. Not to mention the characters and arcs they are trying to tackle just feel redundant and like we've already gone over them time and time again in the previous films. Even though the movie is horrible, the dance party is decent. It happens during a wedding, so it feels natural for the story and deserved. It has an original song, which is nice, but the song is the most basic pop track you could ever imagine. Overall, completely middle of the road. 1.5 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Hotel Transylvania 2 is the 2015 sequel that follows Dracula and his friends as they try to bring out the monster in his half-human, half-vampire grandson in order to keep Mavis from leaving the hotel. This movie is just a hair below the original because the central plot isn't as interesting and most of the movie is really unfocused. However, once they introduce the grandfather character in the last 30 minutes, then it actually starts to get good. The comedy didn't land as well as the first, and anything that had to do with Dracula getting an iPhone was just a little too cringy. The dance party in this film happens at the grandson's birthday, which kind of makes sense, but the transition to the actual dancing is very jarring and forced. It's an original song done for the film by Fifth Harmony, which is decent but forgettable. There's a few funny gags, but as a whole, not very memorable. 2.5 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Chicken Little is the 2005 film that follows a courageous chicken who must come to the rescue of his fellow citizens when aliens start an invasion. I actually watched this for my Steve Zahn movie ranking video, so I'm just gonna copy and paste what I said there. This was my first time rewatching this film since I saw it as a kid, and I gotta say, it isn't as good as I remember. It's a pretty underwhelming movie that has some real pacing issues towards the end. Also, I forgot how mean everyone in this town is to Chicken Little. Like, geez, these are grown-ass adults straight up bullying this child. Also, can you believe that this movie cost $150 million to make? You can make 18 hoodwinks for the price of one Chicken Little. Crazy. The dance party happens during the credits to the song Don't Go Breaking My Heart by Elton John. This is a song that was used early in the film, so it's a nice callback, but there's nothing else of note. 2.5 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Puss in Boots is the 2011 film that follows an outlaw cat, his childhood egg friend, and a thief kitty who set out in search of the eggs of the fabled golden goose. I feel as though Puss in Boots never gets the respect it deserves because it's overshadowed by The Last Wish. Although it's not on the same level as The Last Wish, it's still not a bad movie. Puss is an interesting protagonist, and the backstory they weave for him in this film is well done. It has solid comedy, fun action, and it hits the emotional beats it needs to. The dance party in this movie is a bit unremarkable. It happens during the credits, but they still put in effort to make it look cool. The song used is Lady Gaga's Americano, which is pretty decent. Although the dance party doesn't necessarily seem natural, the bit with the cats following the lights from the disco ball was pretty funny. 3.5 stars and a 3 on the dance meter. Happy Feet is the 2006 movie by the King George Miller. The logline is as follows. Into the world of emperor penguins who find their soulmates through song, a penguin is born who cannot sing, but he can tap dance something fierce. I am a Happy Feet defender. I like this movie, and although I understand the criticisms, I still enjoy it. It has great comedy, some interesting characters, and I love the themes that are found within the film. The story is very uneven, as the main conflict isn't introduced until like an hour in, but there's enough here to provide a fun watch. Similar to my thoughts on the Lorax, I'm very split when it comes to Happy Feet's dance party ending, because it all comes down to what qualifies. At the end of this movie, all the penguins dance together to communicate with the humans, and although they are dancing, it's not really a party. Also, part of this cliche is that an annoying pop song is usually used, and they don't really dance to a song. The type of dance party we are used to happens during the credits of this film, and it's accompanied by an original song by Prince called Song of the Heart. It's a pretty great song, and the dancing fits really well given what the film is about. 3.5 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Rio is the 2011 film about Blue, a domesticated macaw from small-town Minnesota who meets the fiercely independent Jewel, as they take off on the adventure of a lifetime. Rio surprised me. I don't know why I thought it would suck, but it's actually decent. Most of the voice cast is great, the villain is entertaining, and enough of the comedy lands to make it a fun watch. The animation is also colorful and full of life. The heart of the film lies in the romance between Blue and Jewel, which was really well done. This is yet another dance party that features will.i.am, but this time, it's an original song. Although it's short, it's still pretty good, and it has great animation and fits the vibe of the film. 3 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Home is the 2015 film that follows O, a lovable misfit alien who runs from his planet and takes shelter on Earth, where he befriends Tip, an adventurous young girl who is on the quest to find her displaced mother Lucy. Even though this movie is only 90 minutes, it felt like it was 5 hours long, as I could not get invested into the story or the characters. The aliens have a weird way of talking, which was funny at first, but gets really annoying really fast. But it's not the worst movie ever, and it still has a good message, and I'm sure kids will enjoy it. One of the main aspects of O's character is that no one wants to come to his party, but at the end of the film, everyone in the universe joins in on his dance party, so it feels pretty natural in the story. It's an original song by Rihanna, and it's just fine. Not very memorable, but still not bad. 2 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Home on the Range is the 2004 movie about 3 cows who go bounty hunting for a notorious outlaw to save their farm. Home on the Range is fine. The plot and characters are extremely bare bones, and most of the humor did not land with me. But the music slaps, the ensemble voice cast is really strong, and also the concept of a cattle rustler who mind controls cows by yodeling is pretty rad. The craziest part to me is that this cost $110 million, since it feels like a straight-to-DVD movie that is barely 80 minutes long. The song used is an original composition done by Alan Menken, and it is pretty good and fits the movie well. The dance party is very brief, but it's solid and feels deserved. 2.5 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Toy Story 3 is the 2010 installment into the Toy Story franchise that follows the toys after being mistakenly delivered to a daycare center instead of the attic right before Andy leaves for college. Woody then has to convince the other toys that they weren't abandoned and to return home. Toy Story 3 is one of the greatest animated films of all time, and I will say that with my chest. All of the jokes land, all of the emotional beats land, the story is riveting, and all ages can take away different meanings and messages from it. It's the best in the franchise, and what I consider to be a perfect film. The dance party in Toy Story 3 is a bit weird, as it's technically 2 different ones. We get the dance party at Sunnyside with the Randy Newman song, We Belong Together, but then we get another one with a Spanish version of You've Got a Friend in Me. Both are solid, but not spectacular. Additionally, even though it's a new cover, we already had a dance party with You've Got a Friend in Me in the previous Toy Story. 5 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Megamind is the 2010 film that follows the evil genius Megamind after he finally defeats his do-gooder nemesis Metro Man, but is left without a purpose in a superhero-free world. I mean, what is there to say about Megamind that hasn't already been said? It's a banger. It's hilarious, has great characters, an interesting story, and it takes all the tropes of the superhero genre and subverts them in a creative way. It's an extremely quotable movie too, just an all-around good time. The dance party in this movie is solid. It feels a bit tacked on, but it's still deserved within the story, since Megamind has a knack for presentation. The song is Bad by Michael Jackson, which is very fitting for the content of the movie. Not the strongest dance party, but still a good time. 4 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Hotel Transylvania is the 2012 movie that follows Dracula, who operates a high-end resort away from the human world, who goes into overprotective mode when a boy discovers the resort and falls for the Count's teenage daughter. I never watched this movie series growing up, so I don't have that nostalgia factor, but watching it for the first time, I have to say, I still enjoyed it. The story is pretty cliche, and it covers ground that many other animated films do. I mean, several movies on this list have the exact same character arcs, but there's still some solid humor, and I liked all the different takes on these classic movie monsters. Also, I absolutely love the way the characters move in this film. It's so ridiculous, but it's so funny. The dance party in this movie happens at Mavis's birthday. It fits somewhat naturally, but it doesn't do anything really interesting to stand out above other films in the list. They do have an original song, and Dracula does some rapping in it, which was pretty interesting, and I was not expecting that. 3 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Despicable Me is the 2010 film that follows Gru, a criminal mastermind who adopts 3 orphans as pawns to carry out the biggest heist in history. His life takes an unexpected turn when the little girls see the evildoer as their potential father. From the stranglehold that Despicable Me and the Minions have on our culture and animated films in the past 2 decades, it's easy to forget how solid this first movie was. It is just a great time all around, with decent comedy and a heartwarming story. It's a shame this franchise devolved as it went on. The dance party in this movie is pretty killer. It has the emotional payoff of Gru finally being able to see the kids perform their ballet, and then it record scratches into You Should Be Dancing by the Bee Gees. It's not the most creative song choice, but it's still fun. 3.5 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Despicable Me 2 is the 2013 sequel to the first Despicable Me. The logline is as follows. When a new criminal comes to town, the Anti-Villain League decides to hire Gru in order to fight him off. While Gru initially refuses, he eventually agrees after his aide goes back to his evil ways. Despicable Me 2 is just fine. The humor is quite a step down from the first, and the emotional beats aren't nearly as strong. You can definitely tell the filmmakers realized how popular the Minions were and decided to feature them a lot more. It still tells a good story and feels like a natural progression for the characters. The dance party in this movie is slightly better than the first since it happens at the wedding and it feels really natural and deserved. However, the song choice was kind of lazy, as it's YMCA by the Village People. It's just a basic dance song. 3 stars and a 3.5 on the dance meter. Shark Tale is the 2004 Oscar-nominated gangster epic. The logline is as follows. When a son of a gangster shark boss is accidentally killed while on the hunt, his would-be prey and his vegetarian brother decide to use the incident to their own advantage. I don't care what anyone says, Shark Tale is not a bad movie. It has charismatic and fully realized characters that have great arcs and interesting backstories. The plot is pretty basic, but it still works. The humor tends to rely on pop culture references a little too much, but it's still funny. Shark Tale has a pretty good dance party. The song used is a remix of the Rose Royce song, Car Wash, done by Christina Aguilera and Missy Elliott. This is a very fitting song since much of the plot and characters surround a car wash. It feels very natural, and I like how they added in Aguilera and Elliott as fish. That was a nice touch. 3 stars and a 4 on the dance meter. Rio 2 is the 2014 film that follows Blue, Jewel, and their 3 kids as they adventure into the heart of the jungle to reunite with their long-lost flock they never knew they had. Rio 2 is quite a step down from the first. The filmmakers seem to think that if they throw 5 different side plots into the movie, then that will equal one central narrative, but that is false. The movie is all over the place, and it has a hard time focusing on one story and exploring what it wants to be. Not to mention, it is just cliche and exhausting. Throughout the film, there's this side plot of these birds auditioning animals for a big show they're putting on, and the dance party at the end is a culmination and the climax of this side plot. It feels very natural to the story, and it fits right in. It has an original song, which goes hard, and it has some fun animation. The dance party is far better than the film itself. 2 stars and a 4 on the dance meter. Trolls is the 2016 movie that follows Poppy, the happiest troll ever born, and the curmudgeonly Branch as they set off on a journey to rescue her friends. Honestly, Trolls wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It's a completely average kids movie. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. However, it is certainly obnoxious. I feel like you see merchandise for this series everywhere. I can't imagine how you parents must feel out there who have had to watch this hundreds of times because their kids love it. My heart goes out to you. Like it or hate it, the dance party in this movie is iconic. You could argue that the dance party is the climax of the movie, but since it continues until the credits, I decided to keep it in the list. And I already watched the movie, so I can't let it be for nothing. It has great animation, it fits the story well, and the song could be the poster boy for the trope. Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake is the most poppy, family-friendly dance song of all time. It's one of the first songs that comes to mind when you think of this trope. For that reason alone, I have to throw it in this tier, even though I personally don't like the song. 2.5 stars and a 4 on the dance meter. 2017's The Lego Batman movie follows a cooler than ever Bruce Wayne, who must deal with the usual suspects as they plan to rule Gotham City, while discovering that he has accidentally adopted a teenage orphan who wishes to become his sidekick. The Lego Batman movie is one of my favorite movies of all time, so of course I may be a little biased when it comes to ranking it. But I'm sorry, this is just so much fun. It is non-stop hilarious comedy with some amazing animation and a fun, engaging story. It also has endless Easter eggs for Batman fans and a stellar voice cast. Great from top to bottom. Although the dance party in this movie happens during the credits, it is definitely the best credit dance party of all time. It has an original song called Friends Are Family, which is very catchy and suits the story well. It also has some great animation with solid comedic bits sprinkled throughout. The filmmakers are also tongue-in-cheek with the dance party and poke fun at the trope, which was fun to see after watching so many subpar dance parties. I loved it. 4.5 stars, and a 4 on the dance meter. Robots is the 2005 movie about a young idealistic inventor who travels to the big city to join his inspiration's company, only to find himself opposing its sinister new management. This is actually a movie I watched in my Paul Giamatti video, so I'm also going to copy and paste that. Robots is yet another film on this list that I watched as a kid that I'm just now revisiting all these years later, and I think this movie has still held up. It's certainly not a phenomenal film like early Pixar, but it's funny, clever, has a decent story, good voice acting, and is just a good time. Just Robin Williams alone bumped it from a 3 to a 3.5. This is a really good dance party ending, as we get lots of callbacks to stuff that happened earlier in the film, such as the main character's dad being a musician, and that one robot's voice box. James Brown's song, Get Up Off of That Thing, is a great choice, 3.5 stars, and a 4 on the dance meter. Kung Fu Panda 3 is the 2016 film that follows Po as he faces two hugely epic but different threats, one supernatural and the other a little closer to home. Although Kung Fu Panda 3 is quite a step down from the previous entries in the series, it's still not a bad movie. It starts off really strong, kind of loses itself in the middle, but then brings it home with a strong third act. The villain is a bit weak and the humor doesn't always land, but it has a good heart and purpose, unlike Kung Fu Panda 4. Kung Fu Panda 3 has a fantastic dance party ending. What's so great about this ending is that it's half a dance party and half Po teaching everyone how to master Chi. It throws a new interesting spin on the trope that feels very natural and unique. It uses a cover of Carl Douglas's Kung Fu Fighting, which of course fits the franchise well. I just really enjoyed this dance party and it made me happy. 3.5 stars and a 4.5 on the dance meter. Despicable Me 4 is the 2024 film that follows Gru, Lucy, Margot, Edith, and Agnes as they welcome a new member to the family, Gru Jr., who is intent on tormenting his dad. Gru faces a new nemesis in Maxine Lamal, and the family is forced to go on the run. Despicable Me 4 is an odd film. Just like Rio 2, there's barely a central narrative as the movie follows a bunch of random side plots that kind of intersect at the end. It's a really messy movie, and just like a lot of bad kids movies, it relies too heavily on slapstick humor. That being said, it's still one of the better Despicable Me films in the franchise, and it can be entertaining at parts. Even though the movie kind of sucks, this dance party goes hard. The main villain's motivation is that Gru stole his song at their school's talent show, so at the end of the movie, Gru and the villain sing a song together at the jail. It honestly fits the film really well, and we get a bunch of cameos from the villains of the previous movies. So there's lots of fun Easter eggs for the fans. The song choice is Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears, which is a perfect song for all these villains to sing together. The filmmakers went so hard for the dance party, I just wish they would have brought that energy for the entire film. 2.5 stars and a 4.5 on the dance meter. Shrek 2 is the 2004 film that follows Shrek and Fiona as they travel to the kingdom of Far, Far Away, where Fiona's parents are king and queen, to celebrate their marriage. When they arrive, they find they are not as welcome as they thought they would be. Many people could make the argument that Shrek 2 is even better than the first film. Although I don't agree with this, I can definitely see the reasoning. It is such a great movie that introduces interesting new ideas to the world with some really well-rounded characters. And of course, the jokes and satire once again are top-notch. The song choice for this film is Livin' La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin. Although the song choice and context within the story doesn't fit quite as well as the first film, it's still a great choice and is a great time. Fantastic animation with lots of funny gags. My favorite part is the shot of Mongo in the moat. 5 stars and a 4.5 on the dance meter. However, if we are counting Far, Far Away Idol, I might bump that up to a 5 on the dance meter. Toy Story 2 is the 1999 animated film that follows Buzz and his friends going on a mission to save Woody after he is stolen by a toy collector. I love the adventure in this movie, and there are lots of great moments of humor and heart. There's a strong central conflict with Woody, which adds a lot of depth to his character, and it's just a great film. It's awesome. It's worth mentioning that this is one of the rare dance party endings that came out before Shrek, and this dance party set the bar really high. We have Wheezy with his new squeaker busting out to an absolutely killer rendition of You've Got a Friend in Me, and we have that touching conversation between Buzz and Woody, and we have some awesome animation, but most importantly, this dance party feels so natural and deserved. 4 stars and a 4.5 on the dance meter. Fantastic Mr. Fox is the 2009 film about a fox who cannot resist returning to his farm raiding ways, and who must then help his community survive the farmer's retaliation. Anyone who doesn't like this movie is either dumb or hates fun. Not only is this a perfect kids movie, but it is also just a perfect movie. The comedy is hilarious, the stop motion animation is beautiful, and the characters are rich with personality. I cannot sing this movie's praises enough. It is just awesome. The dance party in this film is to the song Let Her Dance by the Bobby Fuller 4, which is a great pick for this film as it fits right in with the other songs used throughout the story and matches the vibe of the movie. The dance party is well deserved, makes sense within the story, and is a perfect emotional climax to the end of these arcs. It does everything a good dance party should do, but it's still not the best, and I'm sure you already know what is above it. 5 stars, and dare I say a 5 on the dance meter. Shrek is the 2001 film about a mean lord who exiles fairy tale creatures to the swamp of a grumpy ogre, who must go on a quest to rescue a princess for the lord in order to get his land back. I mean, it's Shrek. It's one of the greatest animated films of all time and is still endlessly funny to this day. Great story, great characters, great themes, and top tier satire. Legendary film all around. You knew this was coming. Shrek's dance party is number 1. The song is Now I'm a Believer, originally sung by Neil Diamond and made popular by the Monkees. However, the version in this film is done by Smash Mouth and Eddie Murphy, which fits perfectly. The lyrics in the song match the plot of the movie. It makes sense in the context of the story since it's Shrek and Fiona's wedding, and there's plenty of jokes packed in which make references to things that happened earlier in the film. It does everything that a perfect dance party should do, and that's why it deserves the number 1 spot in this list. 5 stars and a 5 on the dance meter. So that's the list. I'd like to say that I learned something from this experience or that I came away with a grand thesis, but I didn't. I think J.K. Simmons' character from Burn After Reading said it best when he said this.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I guess we learned not to do it again.
Yes, sir.
This was a stupid video idea, but I had to do it because I am that committed to the bit. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Also, let me know in the comments what your favorite animated dance party ending is. Do you agree with my list? What did I get wrong? Let me know. This has been Tom from Eisenhart Productions, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.